Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners with Jim Misiura. Today we're going to tie a bluegill panfish fly, and this is going to be a Rubber Legs Mop Fly. We're going to make it Chartreuse, and here, this is just where I got them from. It's a Auto Craft. Got this at Advanced Auto, A&A Auto. It's for washing your car. But you can see on here the normal size. You got these long ones. But for this, we want to use about a half a size one. So on the edges, just from the process, they come out smaller. So I'm going to just take one of the small ones and cut that off. After you cut it off, go ahead and pull the fluff off the end, and you're going to get to, it's like 4 strands of thread. You can see them there. But you want that to be about the length of the hook shank. The hook this is a normal nymph hook. There's a sprout bend, there's a mustad. These are some little hooks I had. But there's a mustad sprout, there's a size 8. I'm going to use some 6/0 thread, and this is Chartreuse. And with this fly, you can either tie them weighted or unweighted. You could go ahead and put a bead on there or put some lead wraps on there if you'd like. I'm going to make this unweighted, so it kind of has a neutral buoyancy. When that Chartreuse mop tail gets wet, it will sink. I'm going to come back about halfway with this. Go ahead and break that off, a little bit more than half. So here's our mop, and we have it about the length of the hook. I'm going to go ahead and tie them in. The point where your thread ends, you want to get that fatter part of that fluffy part of that material. Go ahead and tidy that up a little bit. Actually just designing this today, but I know it's going to work. And it will probably catch largemouth bass also. Okay, now we have them in. Now we're going to take your legs, and I have some that have a green or almost chartreuse. It's black with almost a chartreuse on there. And these are connected in the back just because they come that way. But I'm going to go ahead and take that, even them out first, and I'm going to leave them stick off the front, probably about 1.5 the length of the hook shank. We're going to tie them in starting right at that back, and rubber legs and stuff are pretty easy to manipulate. Keep them up on top, take those 2 in the back, spread them so they're on one on each side. Actually come back on them there a little bit. There we go. Then tighten them down. And bring them up about 3/4 the distance to the eye. Or maybe half. Half looks about good. Bring that thread back. Now I'm going to make a dubbing loop. Take your dubbing loop tool and make this pretty long. You want it about 2.5 to 3 inches. Then I'm going to bring the thread up to the front. And I get to those rubber legs, I'm just going to put a couple of wraps in front of them. Just to kind of hold them out. And then bring that thread up. Leave your thread a little bit in front of that eye. When you get the wrapping, you could get these so they're sticking out to the side. And of course my dubbing loop tightened up, so I gotta go ahead and open that up. There we go. Then we'll take some wax. I use 100% beeswax. Go ahead and wax that thread there pretty good. Now I'm going to keep this in my hand, and what I'm going to put inside there is, this is natural dyed black rabbit. So I'm going to just hold them in my bottom fingers there, and I'm just going to pick it off and get those long fibers and just put those long fibers in. That was a small amount. Pick it out pretty. Try to get them pretty fat and stick them in there kind of so they're straight and not turned into a dubbing noodle. And that wax will help you. There's a nice big clump. Maybe one or two more clumps should do it. There we go. Put that on the side. Now if you have a rotary vise, it's probably a good idea to turn it. I'm going to move that bobbin out of the way. Get that practically upside down even, and give that a spin. And I know you really couldn't see that, but here's what you get. You get a nice dubbing loop. And I'm going to take a brush and I'm going to brush the fibers out. We want them sticking out on the sides. And as you're brushing, if you could get them all on one side, that's good too, but it doesn't have to be. Just want to pick them out so you get a nice fat brush there. Then we're going to go ahead and wrap that. Now I'm going to kind of pull those rubber legs to the sides just to help me get them where I want them. Then once you get going, you can stroke the fibers to the rear as you're going. When I come up to those front legs, I'm going to pull them back. Use all of that up. Give it an extra wrap there. I'm going to tie that in. And I can go ahead and cut that dubbing loop now. And tie off that head. Pull everything back. You could even put a little bit of moisture on there to help you control them from the static. Make yourself a nice little head there. Another hint of chartreuse, another color to attract them. Take your whip finish and tighten that up. You can just imagine what this is going to look like on the pond. Now I got these real long legs. I'm going to go ahead and trim them. And I left them that long so that I can see when this hair puffs out, I can see how far the legs are going to stick out past it. We don't want them inside because that hair will hide them. I'm going to pull them back and I'm going to trim them to about, just about, you don't want to put pressure on them, but you want them just back and then cut them about the length. And these in the back, it's going to straighten them out. And I'm going to cut them about a little past the legs. Now you can go ahead and pull out the loose hairs. Take my brush and see what that does to it. Some long loose ones there. For the most part, that's going to stay together really well because you have it in a dubbing loop, basically wrapped up inside the thread. And this is going to give a neutral buoyancy. You can actually probably fish this almost dry, where you're going to see the fish come up and take it. Or like I said, if you put a little weight on there, maybe put a jig or a bead head on there, it'll take it down and drop these over the nests. And you're going to see them eat this up really nice. So I hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. Please visit my sponsors. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.